everyone, this is Crumbs. Today we'll be discussing the farm behind me, it's a drowned farm, and some other ideas about getting copper, particularly in 117. The way this farm works is I have a bunch of dispensers up at the top with buckets of water. It drops them out, and because of the plus shape that water forms, it'll fill up the entire volume under here, but not create any new water sources. So the water will just flow down straight onto all these open fence gates here. So here on the roof, and obviously you have it's like 15 blocks out, 15 blocks away from the edge of the water column, just to make sure it's completely dark. And under here, and the pattern of dispensers with water buckets is as such. And then I have just the buttons to spawn proof it. And the reason it's important to be able to turn it on and off is because this is a perimeter with a bunch of other farms in it. If I leave this one running, there'll always be mobs in here taking up some of the mob cap. So this is the killing chamber. It's nothing special, nothing fancy right now. I want to connect it up better with the center AFK platform later, but for now this will work. I have sitting here the netherite sword, sweeping edge 3, smite 5. I looked through the wiki to check out what the stats were, and that's how I figured out it took. You need to drop them about 8 blocks. So that way it's a one-hit kill for any number of zombies or any number of drown that come through here. So I got in a 1-hour test to make it partially AFK. I used a clicking script, and then just kept half an eye on it and came over and slept when I could. But I think it's a reasonable representation of what I could expect. I already went ahead and sorted out. I got rid of the rotten flesh. You had over a double chest, maybe 1.5 double chests of rotten flesh. And this is the other stuff here. So there were 13 tridents, not quite 2 stacks of gold ingots, less than a stack of nautilus shells, and then some other odd assorted things that don't really matter here. And since I have a large project that, well, at least large for me, that needs a kind of absurd amount of copper, I went ahead and figured out that the approximate basic needs is about 12.5 shulkers of blocks, which for a lot of blocks is not at all a problem. But for copper, that's 50 shulkers of ingots, or 1,350 stacks. So in order to get that at this rate, it would take 675 hours, which seems a bit ridiculous. It's like raising the roof and increasing the rate at which they're moved to the player. There are a couple things I can improve. So if I double the rates, then that would only take 337 hours. So it would take about 14 full 24-hour days. So that would be 2 full weeks, 24 hours a day, AFK here. I need to set up a clicking script to click regularly and hold down the right mouse button. I need to set up to drop you down somewhere so you could sleep and then pop you back up, push you over. So I need to work out a bunch of things to make it properly, like completely AFK. And even then it would take over 2 weeks of 24/7 AFK here in order to get enough copper just for the main part of the structure I need. There's another location where I can maybe make I can definitely make an even faster farm than this. But even at 3 times the rates, that would bring you to about 9.5 full 24-hour days AFK at a at a farm that's improved 3 times the rates of this one here. If they made it just a standard drop, then that would be something where you could definitely buff up the rates a good deal faster, just kill them by drop damage, and it would be just a question of how much river you can get. Oh, and in order to AFK, the amount of time it needs to get the basic copper for my next project, you'd end up with over 160 shulker boxes full of tridents. So that seems a bit rough. There's another option that I'm thinking about exploring, and that I think is probably the one I'm really going to go for. So we'll take a look at this one now. Alright, so here we are out in the Badlands, and this here then was my other idea about a good way of getting a decent amount of copper. So here we are on Mojang's website. We're taking a look at some of the snapshot information. Let's zoom out a little bit. So the copper is this section here. So it has much higher chances between about y equals 64 and y equals 32. If you bomb out the layers down to level 64, and then you can run the quarry just right over the top, so the the vertical bores have as small distance to travel as possible, and you could select just this region here to get copper from. So we'll see if anything changes in the actual future updates, but it's looking pretty good. And if they want the ultimate ore generation to look anything like this, I don't see how it's going to change in an important way. So here in the world download provided by Comet 107 for his Poor Man's Quarry, and I want to take a look, maybe do a little bit of do some of the time warps to try to see how long it takes. So 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. I think that should be good. So I'll go ahead and run some tick warps real quick and check it out. Alright, so I messed up the item collection down here for that one, but I'll expand that a little. And yep, looks like this will be moving everything forward a block. So we'll start the full section now where you don't have the additional blocks in the back for it to pick up. So this should be then representative of the normal, well, somewhat representative of the normal mount once it gets going. So I think I got it about figured out. It looks like it's about 120 minutes at this length and with this depth to do the whole thing. So I'm going to do a quick another tick warp for 120 minutes. That'll be 144,000 ticks. So let's check this out. Alright, so I timed that a little bit wrong. Looks like 115 minutes is a bit closer rather than 120 minutes. So if it's set to 32 at this length, it's 160 blocks wide. So 160 blocks wide with the binary counter set to 32. It takes about 115 minutes to get through before it moves the quarry forward each time. And of course, because I got it wrong, some of the we got at least a little bit of stuff in here from the next one, but it looks like it's about one double chest plus, I don't know, about half a chest worth each time, because you got to count with the hopper in the back as well. So next I want to check it out if you set it to 16. Alright, so it looks like it took about 45 minutes for that, so I'm going to go ahead and do reset the stuff down here and then do a 40-minute tick warp to check this out. It's still trickling in, but you get more than a chest worth per when it's 160 wide long and you go down 16 blocks. Okay, so it looks like it's closer to 55 minutes. So it's about half the time it takes if you go down 32 blocks. So you're not saving that much time by going with 16 blocks instead of the 32. So I guess the main time saving, if you can get the surface you're trying to harvest as close as possible to the vertical bores. So most of the time saving will be in shorting it horizontally rather than doing 16 instead of 32 blocks. You're not going to get that much extra. So what I'm seeing here is that going about 115 minutes per cycle will give you about 67.5 stacks of blocks. That's about 35 stacks per hour. So if you build up 2 of them at short enough length, it'll reach double speed. That will quadruple your output. So that would give you 140 stacks of blocks per hour. And at that, even if 1% of the blocks were copper, then you'd end up with only like 1.5 stacks of copper ingots an hour. So that would still be slower than the drowned farm. At the same time, you still get all the other resources. You get a lot of cobblestone, but you also get all the different stone types and various other odd things that exist in the world. So you get a lot of additional resources, while with the drowned farm, you get basically nothing of interest. Of course, I don't know what the actual amount of copper ore per unit volume is. So say if it was like 0.1%, then you're not even getting anywhere close to a full stack every hour. But again, you're getting a variety of other resources, so this could be worth doing anyway. So an alternative to building up this type would be to build up one of the faster versions of the quarries. So I'll actually probably take a look into that as well. So if you don't want to use too many resources and want a relatively simple thing to build up, this is probably a good bet to get a decent amount of copper. And then a faster quarry would be something to go for if you really need a hell of a lot of copper as I do for at least one of my projects. So we'll have to think about it. So yeah, currently I expect I may all to build up this twice in a bombed out area to get copper in 117, or look into an even faster quarry potentially. That's all for me today. Those are my thoughts on some options for getting a decent amount of copper in 117. And y'all take care. Cheers.